All righty. What's up, guys? Welcome and happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, February 16th, depending on when you're listening to this. So happy Wednesday. Today, we are going to be talking about something that I get asked a ton about, and that is how do I find good writers, and also what do I do to make sure that they're giving me really good content? And is there any tips that you can give me for finding one, but then also managing one and getting the best out of those and really just hiring a good writer? And there's a lot of options out there nowadays, and I'll go over them, but I'm going to give you 5 tips for hiring a content writer and where to find them, at least where I have found them. And especially in the beginning, because there's other ways that you can do this, but I want to give you the easiest way and also the way that I kind of got my start with hiring a writer, and just different platforms. And I've tried a lot of them, to be honest with you. But you do want to eventually find one that is somewhat dedicated to your stuff, because then they get to know the niche a little better. They're a little bit more productive and things like that. So we'll discuss that. Before I do, though, I had a little bit of an update I wanted to give you guys and anyone that is here that's inside of Brand Creators Academy. We just finished up. I say we, Chris Schaefer and I just finished up our Niche Properties Insider Volume 2. And that one there is it's really awesome, actually, because it's a niche that we found that was being sold, and we tore it down, as we do in these Niche Property Insider little sessions. And we discovered that there was a lot of opportunity, but there was also a problem that we had to identify, but then come up with a solution. And part of that problem was that the traffic, which was getting about, I think they're getting about 50 to 60,000 page views a month, making about $1,500 on average. Some months a little bit more, some months a little bit less. But there was like 3 or 4 posts that were driving a bulk of the traffic. Now, there was a lot of other content too. I think they posted just over 100, but there was a lot of content there, but 3 of them, primarily 3, somewhat maybe 4, were driving a bulk of it. So that's a problem. But there's also a good benefit there on having those posts that are getting a lot of traffic, because they get a lot of backlinks. And so what we did there is we kind of broke down a solution of what we would do to utilize those 3 or 4 posts, but then also what we would do to correct that problem of having just traffic being driven from those 3 or 4 articles on a site that's about 3 years old. So we go through all of that stuff. And if you are in BCA, you are going to be able to access that. It should be live by the end of the day. You'll be also notified inside the private Facebook group. If you're not in BCA and you want to get the access to the Niche Properties Insider Volume 2, Volume 1 is in there as well, then you'll need to join BCA. And if you're not in BCA yet, then I will give you a quick little link here to check that out. And you can go to, where is my little thing here? I had it ready. There we go. Yeah, if you just go to brandcreators.com/BCA, you'll go to the page. On that page, you'll see that you can apply. And then from there, you just fill out a little survey, and then we will reach out to you with a private invite link. So if you're interested in getting access to that and everything else that comes with BCA, this is our second session, and we're actually having the workbook created as we speak. That should be ready fairly soon as well. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. I know that some of my BCA members watch these. So if you are watching this, then you know before anyone, because I didn't even announce it in the group yet. And if you're not in BCA and you want to become a member, then go to brandcreators.com/BCA. And this is just another thing that we're adding to our members portal every single month. And these are very, very beneficial, because you find so many golden nuggets and things that you can then apply to your own niche property. And that's what I really love about it. I mean, I learn things when I do these just by digging through sites that are getting good traffic, making money through Mediavine, AdThrive, different revenue sources. So it does help us as well. So it's pretty cool. So again, if you're interested, check that out. All right. So today, let's talk about hiring writers And before I do, I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, the comments are there. So Scooby Life, good morning. Karen, good morning. Scott and crew, warm here. Snowstorm on the way. Monday's Coffee Talk was very helpful. Oh, awesome. I'm glad that it was. Hello, Salma. And guys, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. We are going to be doing a Friday jam session this Friday. And this Friday, I'm going to be answering 11 different questions that came in from one of my private coaching calls that I did about a week ago. And I said, you know what, this will make a great jam session because these are questions that someone is going to be asking. And so these were straight from one of our calls that I did with a private student. And these are 11 questions. So I'm just going to go through and answer all of them. Some we're going to elaborate a little bit more on. Some of them are just a very quick answer. I have a yes or a no or what to do. So there's 11 questions I'm going to be going over about building niche properties. And that's going to be this Friday on that jam session. All right. So with that all being said, let's get rocking and rolling. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my little cheat sheet here. We have 5 tips we're going to be covering for hiring a content writer and where to find them. That's what we're going to be doing. So let me go ahead and expand that. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to pause for a second, like we always do, because we're going to make this a recording for the podcast. Here we go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, the Rock Your Brand podcast. And today I'm excited, very excited, because the sun's shining. Why not? Why shouldn't we smile if the sun's out? But really, I want to help you because this one here, this question, this situation happens quite often whenever you're building a niche property, a website that you want to build out with content. One of the things that happens is you get to a point where you're either writing the content yourself and you want to do it more or add more, but it's hard because you're limited on time, or you just don't want to write like me and you just want to hire it out. So the question is, Scott, where do I find good writers? And so today, what I want to cover for you and kind of go over is 5 tips for hiring a content writer and where to find them. All right. So that's what I'm going to be covering here in this episode. Now, if you are listening to this on the podcast and you want to ask questions, you can always head on over to takeactioncrew.com. That's where you'll become part of our morning crew. Officially, you'll be on our email list, and I will email Monday, Wednesday, and Friday usually. And I'll give you tips, tricks, things that are happening, updates, all of that stuff. So if you're interested, make sure that you go to takeactioncrew.com. And the other thing is if you're interested in joining us, a group of people that are dedicated to really building out their own niche properties, building it into a brand potentially, whether you have physical products that you're selling and you want to have some content that's externally coming in, not just on Amazon, not just on Etsy, not just on a platform, then I would encourage you to check out our Brand Creators Academy. That's where we have like-minded people. We do these niche property teardowns. We do hot seat sessions. We do courses that help you with certain areas. We just released our keyword gold mine, like all of these different things to help you build your niche property. So if you're interested and you would like to apply, head on over to brandcreators.com/BCA. Again, that's brandcreators.com/BCA. And you can get the details there, short little survey, and then we can send you a private invite. All right. So let's dig in. What are the 5 tips? Let's start with the very first one. And this is the first one because this is where you have to start. Where are we going to find a good writer? All right. Now, first off, you may have someone in your family that's a good writer. You might have someone in your family that does good research, and you might just want to pay them. So I would look within my own network of people that I know and say, hey, you want to write some articles? I mean, literally, like if someone can write a book report, right? A high school kid. I mean, you might even find a high school kid that can do this because all that you're doing is giving them a question, a topic, and saying, I want you to research this. I want you to come up with maybe 5 or 7, 8 different subtopics that are related to this one. Show them maybe exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it, and then just teach them, right? And then have them write, right? And pay them. That would be like a great way for you to be able to have someone that is kind of close to you in a sense to where you can kind of manage them, maybe even sit down with them. So that's where I would start if you have someone that you think would be a good fit for this, right? Now you would have to show them an example of what you want done, and you might have to teach them a little bit, but with any writer, you're going to be teaching them a little bit. And I mean teaching them your process, right? Once you teach them your process, then you have something in place that you don't have to so much self-manage anymore, or at least as much. So let's say though that you don't have someone in your own personal network. Where do you go? The very first place that I would go and that I've went in the past, all right, is Iwriter. Okay, that's Iwriter.com. Okay, now I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not an affiliate for them, but I have used them for years. I mean, they've been around for a very, very long time. I remember years ago, I was even doing content for, I think, our photography site, and I was using them. I even wrote some ebooks through them. So Iwriter is a great resource. Now, Iwriter is just a marketplace, if you will, of writers, and then you submit the job, you submit what you want them to write about, you fill in some of the details, and then they will write. Okay. And you don't have to pay them until you're happy. So that's the cool thing. Now, the downside of that is there are different levels, and you're going to probably want to pick the middle to the top level. And so it's going to cost you a little bit more. The other thing is you will always need to use Iwriter's portal to communicate, which is good because then it protects you, but that also makes it where you can't have them be your own VA necessarily. I mean, you can, but you can't communicate through email. You're not supposed to. Now, we had a writer that we found through Iwriter, a few of them actually, but I found one that she was with us for over a year and a half. And then she got another job opportunity and she had to stop writing, but we would communicate through their own chat feature and all that stuff. And she was great. She worked out real well. But we've probably, to get to that point of a good, one or two good writers, you got to go through a handful of writers, right? And then I'm going to explain on what we need to do that. But Iwriter is a great choice. Again, you are going to probably pay between, depending on how long the article is, and I would say anywhere from 1,200 to 1,800 words. It's going to run you anywhere from, say, $35, $40 to $50, $55. That's about the going rate, okay? Now, the other place that you can go is FreeUp. All right. FREE up.com. All right. It used to be 3 E's. Then they ended up changing the domain name because it came available. It's FreeUp. Now, FreeUp is a virtual assistant platform, not just for writing. And you can hire someone to do a job for you, okay, as a virtual assistant. You would, again, want to reach out to them, set it all up inside of their portal, and then you will want to describe what you're looking for. Now, the difference here is you're not going to have random writers coming over to you. What's going to happen is it's going to go to the FreeUp team, and they're going to see what you like and what you need, and then they're going to match you with someone that they feel is a good fit, one at a time. And then you would have to go through the process of kind of interviewing them in a sense, giving them a test project, probably seeing how the communication is and all of those things. If it doesn't work, you got to let the FreeUp team know, and then they're going to find someone else for you. So it could be a little bit of a slower process, but whenever you're doing this, you always have to remember that in the beginning, it's going to be a little bit slower to get someone that hits the mark for you. All right. So just keep that in mind. You're probably not going to come out of the gate and find a writer and go, there it is. There's my answer. Usually isn't going to happen that way. You got to have some patience. You do have to do some communicating. And like, we've all heard before, right? You almost have to take some steps backwards in order to get forward, because if you're doing it all yourself, you know exactly what you want. You know exactly what to do. You know the format that you want, the style that you want. You want all these things. As you're leaning on someone to do this stuff, you're going to see, well, I don't like the way that they're doing the bullets. I don't like the way that they're writing their intros. I don't like the way that they're, adding text or whatever. They're using too many keywords. It seems like they're stuffing it. I don't like the way that it flows. Like whatever it is, you're going to have that stuff. And then you have to go back to them and say, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. And then you got to so it's training them to become what you want them to be, just like any job that you would be interviewing for. So just always keep that in mind. Now, another place that you can go is, and there's other places, but those are the two that I would start with. If you want a hands-off approach, you can still do that with someone inside of FreeUp. Iwriter, not so much. Iwriter, they're going to hand you off the article. It's going to get approved by you, and then it's going to get put into a little portal, and then you have to download it. Now, inside of FreeUp, you can have that writer actually upload for you and add your images and pretty much optimize to your standards if you want to, if they're willing to do it for the price that you're willing to pay. That's currently what we do. My writers will do the research. They'll write the article. They will upload it to WordPress. They will add the images. They will add some links, and they will put it in draft. And then it's set for us to review and then publish. But with Iwriter, you're going to have to do that manually yourself. Okay, so that is the pros and cons there. Again, something that you might want to still do all the optimization stuff yourself anyway, and you just want the writing done. So the ones out there now, there's more popping up all the time, is there's an more or less like an agency where you will submit what you want written, and then they will have someone on their team do everything for you. Okay. And that's going to range between, again, $50 all the way up to probably like $100 per piece of content. You can see how that can get expensive, right? But it can be worth it. Now, I've tested 2 of these services. Content Wish, again, that's Content Wish, and then Hands Off Publishing. Okay. And I use them for a lot of content. I think I probably did over 150,000 words, I would say. And it's a lot of content, right? So I used a lot of them for a couple of test sites that I was working on. I did use it for one of my main sites, and they did a good job. So Content Wish, in my opinion, did a better job than Hands Off Publishing. I think Hands Off Publishing was going through some growing pains. They were hiring new writers, and those writers weren't really doing the job that they were promising. So there had to be a lot of back and forth, and it just seemed like I was spending way more time doing that than I wanted to. So I ended up giving Hands Off my last little bit of content that I wanted written, and then I just ended up stop using them. Content Wish, they were good, but they were taking longer. Okay, so they were taking longer. I wanted stuff really kind of cranked out. I didn't want to wait 3 weeks to get content written. The other thing I was noticing with Content Wish is that I couldn't buy more before the first batch was done. So I was like, okay, I want to buy 20,000 words of content, but I also want to buy another 20,000 for this one over here. And they're like, well, you can't really do that. We got to finish this one, and then you got to do this one. So then it was delayed, right? Like, what if I want to work on 3 different sites? Then I got to divvy up my 20,000. So it just got more complicated. And at the end of the day, I'm glad that I am doing it the way that I'm doing it now, which is exactly what I said. I found the writer. I trained them to what we wanted to be done and have them upload everything for us to our standards. And then I'm able to communicate with them back and forth. And we've created an agreement that they are happy with, and we are paying them. So we're paying them anywhere from $35 to $45 an article, and that includes 1,500 words. They're also uploading it to WordPress. They're adding the images, and they're adding some external links, and they're putting it in draft. Like, that is the routine for them. And it took a little bit, and I'm still working out some of the kinks every now and then. Like, I might shoot a Loom video and say, hey, this image that you put in, it's really tiny. I need it to be bigger. We need our images to be bigger. Make sure that you catch that next time. So a lot of times you're still going to have to do a little bit of tweaking, keeping people in order. But for the most part, once you get it to that place, you're good to go. All right. So those are the different places of where, okay, to get the content written, where to find good writers. Okay. And it will take some time. So just understand that. The second thing we need to do here is, when we find a writer, is we need to look at their examples. What are some samples that they've done in the past? If they don't have any samples, then they should offer to do a sample for you for free. That's my opinion. Because if I'm doing a job for someone and I haven't really done it before, or I've done it, but I don't have anything to show for it, then I'm going to do a little test article. It might only be 800 words or something. That's fine. But they should be able to give you some examples. I haven't found anybody yet that hasn't been able to give me examples of work that they've already done. Okay, so that's the very first thing. We want to make sure, and that's tip number 2, is make sure that you see examples. If they don't have an example to show you or a sample post, ask them if they will create one for you for free. Just ask them. Okay. And if they won't, might not be your writer. Okay. Because if that writer knows that you also might want to let that writer know, like, listen, I'm going to be writing a lot of content. I'm looking for a consistent writer. And so then they know, well, I'm going to write this article, and then that might lead into me doing 3 articles a week for this person. So you want to let them know that there's some advantages here, and there's some benefits coming down the road for them. So make sure that you get a sample of their work so you can at least get an idea. Okay. The third tip here. Okay. The third tip is to choose 3 writers. Okay. Try to find 3 and then give them all test articles. Now, I wouldn't give them all the same article, although that would be probably good, but I still want to be able to use these articles, right? If I'm going to pay for them, I still want to use them. Tell them I'm going to pay you for a test article. Okay. I'm going to pay you for a test article. Once that you've seen a little bit of their work, you feel good about them, the communication's been good. That's the other thing. Make sure that we're doing good communication back and forth. And then just make sure that they're willing to create a test article for you, and you will pay them for that. Just tell them, I will pay you for this test article because you've narrowed it down to these three. Now, when you give them that test article, make sure that you are clear what you want. Don't assume they know what you want. All right. If you want to have at least 5 subheads, H2s, then let them know that, right? Even if you want, tell them what I would like you to do is look at frequently asked questions or people also asked. And I want you to use some of those as the subtopics. You have to tell them what you want somewhat. You can't just have them guess. All right. So make sure that you give them the title that you want written, and then also a little bit of how you want it written. If you want a conclusion, a summary, if you want frequently asked questions at the end, let them know what you want. Very important that you give specific details on what you are looking for. It's the only way they're going to be able to give you what you're looking for. All right. So choose 3 and give them a test article to do. All right. Now, the 4th tip here, and this is a big one, is, and it would be very rare that you're going to get them back and be like, these are perfect. Right? There's going to be something there. It could be formatting. It could be spacing. It could be grammar. It could be anything, right? Request changes, right? Request changes. And what we're really doing here is we're testing their response, and we're testing their ability to do that. Okay. So we're almost putting something in place, even if it doesn't exist in a sense. Like if you're like, I really, maybe you thought that their paragraphs were too long or something. Just ask them a question. Can you break up the paragraphs so they're only 3 sentences long? Something like that, right? Something simple. And all we're trying to do is see if they respond with, oh yeah, no problem. I'll make sure that I do that in the future. Like, what's the communication like? Because you can learn a lot from that. If it takes them 2 days to get back to you, probably a bad sign. We don't want someone that's going to take 2-3 days for us to make a correction or a change. That means that they're probably not as dedicated and devoted to writing as we thought they were. So that's the fourth little tip, is request changes and then evaluate how well they do the changes, but also how well and how soon do they respond. Okay. So really, really important. Okay. And the 5th one here. Okay. The 5th tip is select a writer. Okay, if you're only going after one writer, select that one writer and give them another article to write. All right. Select the writer and then give another article to write and see how that one goes. Because their first one might have just been a good one that they did, right? The second one might not be as good, or the communication could break down. Tell the other 2 writers, at this time, I have chosen a writer. And they're currently doing work, but I may have some more work for you soon. I'll be in touch when I do. Like something like that. You do not want to close that door. You don't want to burn a bridge, and you want to keep them available because you might go back to them. Okay. And if you want to have a couple writers going at the same time, if you have enough content for them, then pick 2, and give them another article to write. Okay. So this way here, we can go through the process again, because as you go through the process, or as you give them more content, things can start to break down, right? They can get sloppier. All right. They could start to try to cut corners. Their communications could drop. And you want to be able to make sure that this is going to work for the long term. Because at the end of the day, the way I look at this, it's kind of like building a house. We need all of these contractors that are going to help us build the house. If I'm getting ready to put up the sheetrock and I got my sheetrockers ready, but the plumbing isn't done and my plumbers are slow, I got to find new plumbers, because now I'm holding up the other people, right? So we can't have that post published until we get it written, until it's written well. And if it starts to break down, it starts to get slower, we need to fix that. All right. So let's do a little quick recap here. All right. The 5 tips for hiring content writers and where. The first tip is go to a place where writers are hanging out. Okay. And that is Iwriter.com, freeup.com, Content Wish, Hands Off Publishing. Those would be ones that you can test, but those are the ones I probably wouldn't go with first. I would try to find my own independent writer, whether it's on Iwriter or freeup.com. Second tip, look at their samples. Make sure that you can see samples that they've done for other clients. All right. And make sure that you do that. And if not, if they don't have anything, I'd be a little leery on that. But if they don't, maybe they're new, give them a chance. Ask them if they will do one for you for free as a sample. 3, choose 3 different writers and give them a test article and pay them for that, but choose 3 different article topics, but maybe all of them are based around the same thing. Can you catch bass in a pond? Can you catch bass in a lake? Have each one do each different one there, right? You see where I'm going with that. So it's related, but it's different. So that way there we can kind of compare apples to apples. 4, request changes, even if it's the smallest change. And what we're doing here is we're testing to see the communication skills and how well they respond to you saying you need a correction. That's the 4th. And the 5th and final is select a writer if you're going with one writer and give them another article. And again, go through that process to make sure that everything is going as planned. Make sure that they're good on communication. Make sure that the writing style is what you want. The language is there, all of it, right? So make sure that you do that. If you're going after 2 writers, well, then give 2 writers more content to write so you can further go through this process with them. All right. So there's your 5 tips for hiring a content writer and where to find them. It is so important that if you are growing and scaling niche properties, even if it's just one and you want to double down, if you're doing 1 piece of content a week, but you want to scale it to 3 to 5, you're going to need help. Right. And this is where you can slowly go at it and then you can accelerate it by adding more content, because we all know what drives traffic in this niche properties, area, or, this little world of our niche properties like digital real estate. What grows it is traffic, right? The more traffic we get, the more we make in the Mediavine or AdThrive or Ezoic, our RPMs, affiliate sales, ebooks, like whatever. The more traffic we get, the more money we will make. So we need to create more content. And a way to do that and scale it is to have a good writer that helps you do that. All right. So guys, that's it. That's going to wrap up this episode. If you have any questions about this, feel free to come on over to one of our Friday jam sessions. And you can do that by heading over to takeactioncrew.com, jump on that list, and you'll be notified of more updates and things like this. But also you can just go to our Facebook page, Rock Your Brand, and you'll be able to get notified over there as well. And if you would like help with this, if you want to be sitting alongside other niche property creators, definitely look into our Brand Creators Academy. That's where we do monthly hot seat calls. We do monthly office hours calls. They're bi-weekly. We have training inside of there. We also have a private Facebook group, and we have other resources that's going to help you grow at whatever stage you are. If you're interested in becoming a member, head on over to brandcreators.com/BCA, and you can get all the details over there. All right, guys. So that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now go out there, get them. Cut. All right, guys. You got any quick questions? Let's see. I have a local friends that I may hire. Let's see, per article. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I have a local friends that I may hire per article. What's a fair hourly per article rate? I've been doctor hired anyone before. I'm not sure. Do you ever provide the H1s, H2s? Okay. So, have a local friend. So yeah, so the local friend, as far as like, how do you do it? Like hourly? I wouldn't do hourly. I would do per article. That's how I would do it. Because it's up to them if they want to spend 3 hours on an article, or if they want to spend an hour on an article. How fast are they? It's up to them. But I don't want to be like, oh, well, it might take you 3 hours and I'm going to pay you $10 an hour. That's $30. That's fine. What if it takes you 6 hours? Right. So I would say I would make it. And for them, it's kind of good too, because they know exactly what they're going to make. It's not like, oh, well, that one took me less. That took me an hour and a half. This one took me 2 hours. I would do it per article. That's how I would do it. Do you ever provide the H1s and H2s, basically the outline? I personally don't. I've done it a little bit in the beginning, but then I felt, you know what? I should be able to trust them if I teach them how to find the H2s. And so that would be my only thing. Make sure that you're saying to them, I want you to do the research for the article to find supporting subtopics. And a way to do that is to look at Google and see the people also asked or frequently asked questions, things like that. So I don't think you have to. It wouldn't hurt, but it is going to create another step for you. So I would like to see what they come up with after I've instructed them on how to come up with those different topics and then go from there. You might find someone that does a great job all on their own without you even telling them how to do it. And that's great because the part of the research is them doing that, right? They answer the question, but then they also have supporting topics that kind of support the answer. And that's really what we're looking for. Let's see. Hey Scott, have you ever found a niche that you could not find good keywords? No, because if I did my research and my validation, I probably would not have went down that road. So no, I don't struggle with that at all right now, to be honest with you. If anything, I have more than I can write. So no, sorry, Russ. I say sorry that I'm sorry if you do. So yeah, I would want to know a little bit more about that and where you're struggling. You have to either look for a sub niche or something that you can elaborate on, or you're just going to run out of stuff to do, to talk about. What's a fair article rate in the USA? I would say 35 to 55. That's the going rate. That's fair. When would you consider hiring your in-house team to write articles? I don't know if so in-house, are you meaning like someone that's literally in your house, or are you talking about like just someone that is under payroll? I don't want an employee because I don't want the headaches of having an employee. So a virtual assistant is basically a VA, is a contractor. So you're going to pay them independently for that job. They're going to have to deal with their business license and all of that stuff, and insurance and all of that stuff. So I don't want anything to do with that side of it. I don't want to deal with employees. I just want to hire someone for a job. So that's why I would hire people as a contractor, not as an employee. So as far as an in-house, like I feel like I have in-house people right now because I have writers that are dedicated to my stuff. I have right now currently 4 writers that are writing, and I would say pretty much full time. I'm giving them as much as they can handle. And some do, 3 articles a week for me, and some do 10. So it just does depend, but I feel like they're my in-house because I'm supplying them a lot of work and they're pumping it out, but they're also asking me, hey, you got any more? You got any more? So they're there for me, even though they might be doing other stuff. I feel like they're my in-house writers. So hopefully that answered your question. So guys, that is going to wrap up this coffee talk. Hopefully this helped you. If you do have any other questions on hiring a writer, let me know and I'll try to answer it on an upcoming coffee talk. But yeah, just wanted to say thanks for hanging out with me this morning. And yes, once again, if you are interested in getting access to our most recent Niche Properties Insiders, Volume 2, by the way, it is just about ready to be added to the Brand Creators Academy portal. And this is somewhat of a newsletter slash guide slash workbook and a video that goes along with it. And it's pretty awesome because every month we reveal a niche that we find that is being sold. And then we break it down, we tear it down brick by brick, really. And then we build it back with what we would do if we were to own it and to build it over the next 90 days. And this most recent one that we did has a lot of great potential. And there's actually some cool things that you can do, even with the content that's already there. Like we learn so much from the content that's there, but there's so much that we can do with it because it already has some authority. And there's like 3 or 4 posts that are getting a bulk of the traffic, which is a problem, but there's also some benefits that go with that, which means there's a lot of authority with those 3 or 4 blog posts. So let's utilize those and hopefully push some of that traffic to some of our other content that'll rise everything up. And we break everything down inside of that. But if you're interested in joining me inside of the Brand Creators Academy and getting access to that, if you're not currently a member, if you are a member, you're getting access to it and it should be posted soon. Then make sure that you go here. Make sure you go to brandcreators.com/BCA. You'll see a page there that explains what we do there. And then you'll also see an apply button where you can just fill out a short little survey, and then we will send you a private invite. So this way here, you can join us. All right. So guys, that's it. That's official. We're going to wrap this up. Have a great day, and I will see you back here on Friday. Take care, guys.